3, 2, 1. Hey-o!
Merry Christmas. That's the theme of the episode.
Absolutely. I thought we were wearing Christmas sweaters today.
I attempted to go to Goodwill because the one awful, ugly Christmas sweater I had, apparently I got rid of it. So I went to take a look-see. I didn't find anything worth buying.
Well, I'm wearing a show-appropriate sweater.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah. Episode 8, the final show of 2023. Christmas is coming up.
New Year's.
And what a year it's been, right?
It has been a long one, a busy one, a one of firsts, many, many firsts, and I'm glad it's over. Or almost over.
Almost over. The holidays are upon us. Baseball season is over.
I don't have a team anymore.
I am hoping. I'm hoping to get some Las Vegas A's merch in my under the tree.
That was I knew it was coming. God damn, it was still hard. The thing that bothered me the most, it was unanimous. All 30
Of course. Owners. Baseball is so crazy, right? So for 100 years, you could not even breathe about gambling within 100 yards of a locker room. 35 years ago, they banned the greatest hitter of all time from the sport and from the Hall of Fame. And now not only are huge gambling organizations sponsoring games, they have a team in Las Vegas.
You can't watch any pro sports game anymore without a commercial for FanDuel or a commercial for whatever sports betting online thing.
DraftKings, right.
That thing that league is now heavily sponsored by. What a joke.
Of course, they put the Chiron on the mound. Mm-hmm. They put it on the bases. It's insane,
got
right?
little logos on their jerseys saying we're sponsored by,
Of course. And if you watch MLB Network, it's all FanDuel and DraftKings. Mm-hmm. And they actually have segments in the shows like these are the over-unders and all that stuff. I mean, good Lord. Right. So if they're going to do all this shit, put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, man.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So a little editing note for everybody. Sometimes the show runs long and we have to leave stuff on the editing room floor. So what we've been doing is Jered and I have been exchanging kind of random woodworking questions that we send each other in the mail. Regular mail with a letter and a stamp and an envelope. If you saw a couple of episodes ago, we introduced this segment. And so we did it last week, but we didn't have time to put it in the show. So we're going to put it in this show. So what you'll see if you're watching is our clothes suddenly change. We have perfected the art of time travel. Mm-hmm.
So past Lee and past Jered here coming at you.
If we look a little younger, that's the reason. So viewer comments.
What we got
some good ones.
Yeah, what do we got?
We got one from some doofus named Inland Wood and Resin. Okay, so
that guy's a putz.
This I love this comment though. As far as Yankee fans are concerned, they are the locusts of the sports world. They descend on ballparks around the country, eat all the food, drink all the drinks, and breathe all the air before moving on to the next ballpark.
And they talk the most shit too.
Exactly. And MJL Woodworks had a great response. I've never heard such an accurate description of us Yankee fans before. It's a charming take on how we don't just support our own team, but all of yours as well. You're welcome.
There is that. I will say this for Yankee fans. You guys will buy like 2/3 of the tickets to Oakland Coliseum and it'll actually look like they sell out a game. So you Dodgers, Giants, and Boston fans, you guys are the best.
Yeah, they call Tropicana Field Fenway South.
Yep.
And one other one here, Christ is Lord 229. And this was in response to what we talked about alternative streams of revenue for woodworkers. Mm-hmm. So you're right. Use the skills from woodworking to actually do a trade that people need and will pay you. Framing, drywall, paint, tile, hardwood floors, etc. Be a killer handyman. Mm-hmm. You'll make so much more. And that is actually fun too. That really sums up what we were both trying to say, I think. in
Yeah,
one sentence.
it's nice to be able to play and tinker and make crafty things or furniture or whatever, but I don't often pay the bills. But yeah,
No,
if I've got work, constant steady work where I'm refinishing floors or I'm like you said, doing trim work or something along those lines, those jobs are out there, guys. They are plentiful, and all you got to do is want to take
yep.
them.
So, hey, before we get into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about Instagram. So it's well known. I've made it known on this show. I've made it known on my other channel. I hate Instagram.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think I figured out how to use it. So what I've been doing is I've been posting stories. And of course, stories only last 24 hours. So you can pretty much say what you want about my frustrations in trying to make woodworking projects and videos. And I've started to do it and I find it's kind of cathartic. And so that's been good for me. And that's kind of what I use it for. And I'm kind of enjoying that. I just kind of whip up my phone, say a couple of dumb things.
I think it's a good platform for that because, trying to create like a YouTube short, that's a project in and of itself. To really
Of course it is.
Put out a good short. Those have become cinematic in and of themselves.
Of course. Yeah.
Stories are just fun because, like you said, the last 24 hours, they're a throwaway item.
But I've been doing it fairly consistently, 5 or 6 days a week. And so you listeners, follow me on Instagram, follow Jered on Instagram. Maybe he'll start posting some stuff and you can kind of see how a couple of marginally talented woodworkers have managed to find some success. So.
Or you might see a middle-aged man break out into interpretive dance.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's on your mind, my friend?
All right. So, another topic that we kind of put on the back burner, and I don't know what set me off, but I wanted to bring this back up on the show, and it's this concept of DIY and how it has been co-opted by social media personalities, influencers, whatever we want to call them, and has been turned into a bad word, or has been, I should say, has been defined as like this lower tier level of making, not just indicative of the woodworking world, but just making in general. So, I don't know where we're going to go with this. I just kind of threw it out there, and I had noticed a handful of videos that, I don't know, they're a year or so old that, how do I want to say this? They show a very similar, a very simplistic project, like a sawhorse or a cutting board, and then it's a tiered thing. Here's the DIY level, here's the amateur, and here's the professional. And I just thought, what a bunch of horse shit to label these types of projects simply based upon time, unnecessary processes, and just, I guess, the elaborate nature of the project at the very end. So I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on this, if you've noticed this, or hell, if you even care about this, Lee.
Yeah. So I think a lot of professionals in the creative space, like not just woodworkers, but designers, wedding planners, they see it as competition, right? Let's just take the idea of a wedding planner, for example. So they're trying to sell their services to a bride in most cases. It's not a couple. The brides make all the decisions. We know that.
We just end up paying for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they see when they quote their price, sometimes the customers balk, and then they see DIY as an alternative. And so these professionals find themselves, I think, competing against that, right? Against I'm just going to do it myself. I'll plan my own wedding, or I'll make my own centerpieces, or I'll build my own kitchen cabinets,
Yeah.
Sometimes people try to do things that they're just not talented at, or they're not properly equipped. They don't have the right tools. and they get in over their heads, and then they call it professional.
Which is probably going to cost more than having them do it in the first place.
For sure. Of course, I used to race motorcycles, so I used to hang around in shops a lot, speed shops. And I would see guys bring in bikes on trailers with literally parts on the floor of the trailer. Oh, I tried to do a valve job and I couldn't put the engine back together.
Whoops.
Well, that sucks for you, buddy. Because that $1,200 valve job just became a $3K valve job. Yeah. If you bring me a bike and parts, that's going to cost you, my friend. So, or if you call me to do your kitchen cabinets, and all I see is the equivalent of Homer Simpson's spice rack nailed to the wall, that's going to cost you too.
I don't know. I think you're not wrong. Paying for services definitely has its time and place. I think what I was most annoyed about when I saw these types of videos being presented was that there really wasn't anything different skill-wise. It was it was the I'm going to spend 50 minutes to make this box, 5 hours to make this box, and 5 days to make this box. When the reality of, at least when I look at what distinguishes professional versus DIY, there's a simple distinction. Professional is all about profit. You are doing the thing to earn income, whereas DIY is the exact opposite. You're doing it to avoid paying for somebody's services. The level of quality doesn't really matter, or I don't know. Harken back to Instagram. There are God knows how many accounts that I follow on Instagram of people who are not professional businesses. They are just very talented craftspeople and are essentially doing DIY projects because they're not selling them. I built myself this credenza and it looks straight out of a Chippendales museum, or a green and green type project or something, and it looks like it should be in a 120-year-old home. The person just built it in their garage. That's DIY.
Right. Sure. If it's your house, if it's for you, have at it.
Yeah.
Go for it. I do not begrudge anyone that. How many times have you or I know I have taken on a project where I had no clue what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Where I had never done it before. Like once a month, probably. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think this trend also applies to, when somebody names a video, they put DIY in the title or whatever to appease the algorithm, or, tickle SEO or whatever like that. And then you see people that are using particular tools. And this brings up another question of at what point does a tool no longer be DIY level? And I don't understand that. I checked out a couple of videos that I remember seeing some comments where I think it's a European channel, Wood Design. I think that's the name of the channel. Don't quote me on it. But they have, all the high-end festival stuff. They've got all these really nice joiner planer machines, a decent table saw, blah, 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 blah. And all the guy did was literally just make small little incremental cuts, put it all together, but he labeled it as DIY, and everybody bashed him in the comments because he used a domino. And I'm like,
right.
Well, who cares? That doesn't mean that my neighbor next door who's a hobbyist can't have a domino. I don't know, this whole arbitrary tier system of DIY versus professional is just it's intriguing to me, but it's also pretty damn annoying.
YouTube appeals to beginners. That's the biggest segment of any audience, right? And so, people put DIY in the title, or they aim their channels at DIYers because those are the people who are most likely to seek out help on YouTube. Yeah, I agree. Some channels, they say that they aim themselves at DIY, and then they present content, or they present projects, or they have tools that are out of reach of the average DIYer. And that's probably what happened with that with those comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're saying this is for a DIYer, but no DIYer is going out and spending $1,500 on a domino. And that's true.
Yeah.
I've spoken to YouTubers, big channels that started out small channels with really modest equipment that say to themselves, I could afford a really nice table saw now, but should I get one? Because I don't know what people are going to say if all of a sudden I have a SawStop PCS 52-inch table saw in my shop, and they're going to go, "Oh, you sold out on us."
You got a Hammer K3 winter sliding table saw. Like, there's only a handful of guys on YouTube that have got one of those, and
right.
I can't label my stuff as DIY. I shouldn't. I have done it, but I can't do it because my saw apparently disqualifies me from being DIY.
That's why, Steve Ramsey, who's made millions on YouTube, still has a really old, I don't know, Delta or Craftsman or Rigid
Craftsman
something.
Or something.
Yeah, table saw. And that guy could afford any table saw in the world, probably multiple. If you look at his shop, it's very, very sparse. It's as sparse as it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And maybe even more so. I think he's very conscious of that. There's another guy that I know, Marcus from Burnstock Woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead and check out his channel, because if you look at his earlier videos, 180 square feet. And he just built himself a shop that I think is like 2,000 square feet.
I think it's a 30 by 40 or something like that, if I remember right.
Right, exactly. I remember him telling me that he was worried about that because he was afraid that the people who had subscribed to his channel would be expecting different content, or that it wouldn't be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a thing. That's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I guess, depending upon where you start in this whole YouTube thing is kind of where you then will find your audience. So, a guy like me who started well into his woodworking life with a considerable amount of, I guess, professional grade tools, I do a lot of stuff that's pretty simplistic and crafty related.
Right.
And it's almost like,
yeah, I know you do.
I get a ton of flack for that. Like, oh shit, you're using a $3,000 machine to do, this itty bitty. Okay, it's beneath the capability of the machine, but you know what? It's fun and it's enjoyable. So,
right, sure, why not? What am I supposed to do now that I'm not, pumping out cabinets all day? I'm supposed to just trade this in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and get a third of the price of what it's really worth.
Yeah, well, yeah. So there's that.
So you can buy a DeWalt job site saw.
Yeah,
and be more relatable. Right. So, man, you know what happened? I have been through quite an ordeal over the last month or so. I'm sure you're aware of a platform called Fiverr.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So Fiverr is a place to go for creative services if you're really, really cheap.
That's a great way of describing it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. So I've actually had 3 rounds with 3 different artists. The last one was pretty much the last straw, and I'll explain why. Now, if you go on Fiverr and you're a woodworker and you say, I'm a woodworker, this is the name of my company, make me a logo, you're going to get one of 3 things: a plane, a tree, or a saw blade.
Okay.
Those are the only 3 things that you're going to get. So Fiverr is cheap, but you get what you pay for. And one of the things that you pay for when you hire an artist is their imagination.
Or at least you should.
You're not getting much right. You're not getting much imagination. Do yourself a favor. Go through your list of subscriptions on your YouTube account. If you're watching a woodworking podcast, I assume there's a lot of woodworkers there. And look at the logos. And look how many saw blades there are, and trees and planes. Those people went to Fiverr and paid $50. Sorry if you happen to be one of those channels that has a saw blade or a tree or a plane, but It's not original. It's just not. And so I didn't want that. But that's what I got the first time around. So the second time around, I waited a few months. This all started kind of last year. I waited a few months and I figured I'm going to go back to the well. I hired somebody else. And this person had done a lot of corporate logos. And everything they showed me was like it was a bank. Okay. I said, no planes, no trees, and no saw blades. So what it ended up being was like BKW and stylized text. It really looked like I was like giving out loans, not making woodworking.
The letters across the
content
the fascia of a building.
Of course, busted knuckle with, all spread out, you know what I mean? And then woodworks, and it's exactly lined up. Oh my God. So I was like, okay. So that's another $50 down the drain. So finally,
how many before you move on? How many renderings did you get out of the deal?
Well, usually you get a limited number, right, based on the package. So you usually get 3 or 4.
Okay.
And you go back, and to them, it's 3 or 4 revisions, right? So that doesn't mean necessarily do it over. That just means take this thing and change it a little bit.
Gotcha.
But if the first thing you get is just way, way off base, it's hard to get there. Okay, so I want to show you something here. So a few weeks ago, I gave it a third try, and this gets weird. Okay, so I will say right in advance that if you're listening to this on audio, this is going to make no sense because this is a visual thing. So maybe for this part, fast forward the audio and then jump over to YouTube, because if you don't get the visuals, you won't get this. So this has been my logo for a long time. Okay. Now this is an actual picture of my real hand that was taken right after I had an unfortunate table saw accident in 2022.
Okay.
And the picture, and hence the name of the channel, Busted Knuckle Woodworks, right? Go. Yeah. And plus, I actually did break my knuckle in high school playing high school football. This is on a different hand. So I guess it's doubly appropriate. And I was pretty happy with this. I mean, I was fine with this. It got the point across.
It's different.
Until somebody came to me and they said, I think your logo was hurting your channel. And I was like, really? And I said, why do you say that? And they said, and this was somebody who was 33 years old. It's about the age of my son, a millennial.
Damn millennials.
And he said, I don't think this applies to me, but he said a lot of millennials are very, very soft. They're very squeamish. They will not subscribe to a channel that has a bodily injury for a logo. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And they're like, no, absolutely. A lot of my friends, they would see something like that and they would just be, whoa, oh, I can't even look at that. And I was like, oh, okay.
I got nothing. I'm sorry. I got nothing. What a softie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. All right. So I said, well, I tried the logo thing before. Let me give it one more shot. So like a dumbass, I went back to Fiverr because I'm a dumbass. And I said, okay, I don't want saw blades, planes, and trees, and I don't want a bank. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this character based. I want it to be a drawing of me. So I went to this person. I looked at a bunch of them, and this person had done some pretty nice looking work, I thought. But you never know if that's really their real work, right?
Especially,
they put out a
especially in these day and ages, you have no idea.
Right? Absolutely. They could have stole their portfolio right off of the internet, right?
Or hell,
So you
AI
don't know.
could have made the whole damn thing. Who knows?
Well, exactly. And we'll get to that in a second. So I said, I want a drawing of me. He said, well, what do you look like? And so I had my wife take a bunch of pictures of me just in front of a green screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just a bunch of pictures. And I said, I said, you don't have to make it look like any of these exactly, but I said, this is what I look like. And I gave him the link to my YouTube channel. Obviously, I said, you can watch some videos. You can see what I look like. To kind of just go from there. Use this as a guide. Don't just copy one of these pictures. So he said, which picture do you want me to use as a basis? And I said, no. I said, I don't want you to copy any of the pictures. I want you to just use the pictures to know what I look like and then make a drawing of me. Give me some ideas, right? You're the artist. This is what I'm paying for, I thought.
And this is, you're doing this via email, or are you on the phone with them?
And so this is all back and forth through Fiverr's own messaging system.
Okay.
And so I sent him some more pictures, and he kind of fixated on this one right here. So this is one that was taken. I had it I took it on my patio. My wife took it, and it was of me. And I said, maybe use this. But I said, put a plane in my hand or some kind of a tool, a saw, something, right? And then, put a bandage on the knuckle because it's busted knuckle, right? Woodworks. He didn't know what a plane looked like. He had no idea.
Okay.
So I sent him this picture. I said, this is what a plane looks like. And he goes, oh, I know what you're talking about. And you see, I have the finger kind of sticking up, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now he has all this source material. And so this was the first thing that he came up with right here. Get a good look at that. Now, this is basically an exact trace of the photograph that I sent.
Not bad.
Okay.
But
not horrible.
Not bad.
But here's the original photo. Mm-hmm. Okay. And here is the drawing. So this is something that I could have done it with an app, because you can feed a photo into an app and it will make a tracing for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's not what he did, right? So not horrible, but not really what I wanted. So this is basically just, again, a representation of the photo. And I wanted something more stylized, more like a cartoon, more like, a younger, prettier version of me.
A caricature, if you will, right?
If you will, right. I said, it doesn't have to look exactly like me. I said, it just has to be kind of a representation of me. But, if you watch the channel, just watch my channel trailer. It's 45 seconds. You get the whole gist of the channel, which is like goofiness and bullshit and woodworking.
Yeah. I would have thought like maybe the cotton
that should be my new slogan.
I thought that, maybe that would have been a good one to look at.
Right. I thought, it's learn, laugh, wood. Maybe I should go with the other thing. So this was the second attempt. Okay. So he kind of turned me. He kind of turned me into a plastic figure, right? So
yeah, I'm not like.
So he took my he took my forehead and turned it into a 5-head. This is just giant now, okay? And he took all my worst features. Now, you said caricature, in a caricature, what they do is they take all your worst features and they exaggerate them, right? So he took my big shiny head and made it shinier and bigger. He took my nose, which is already plenty big, made that bigger. He took my chin
That is just really
Take my
bad.
giant chin and yeah. And look at the eyes, right? I mean, I do have normal eyes, okay? You can see that, right? So the eyes are like really small. So I look like basically like a homicidal maniac. So I look like I am ready to kill someone with this plane, right? I mean,
you remember that old Tom Hanks movies, The Burbs? You remember that one?
Yeah.
And the old grandpa guy that used to sit at the creepy house? That's what that looked like. Yes.
Yeah. So again, I look angry, mean, and the channel is not angry and mean.
No,
right?
that's
I'm not
my
an
channel.
angry and mean guy. Yeah. You said it, dude, not me.
I did.
But the thing is, though, when you get angry and mean, that's what people like.
I
They love
guess.
that.
I don't have anything angry and mean coming down the pipe, so we'll just have to wait until after Christmas.
Right. Okay. So I told him, I said, make me look. I said, make the forehead a little smaller, make the eyes bigger. I said, I have teeth, I have eyes, make me smiling, make it look like I don't want to murder the audience. So he did that. So I cannot prepare you for what you're about to see. When I showed this to my wife, she literally jumped back in her chair and went, whoa. I mean, that's how scary this was. Are you ready?
Let's see it. Oh, good God. You look like a newborn baby with a receding hairline. You've got
I look like I'm on meth in this picture.
You've got like a Bob's Big Boy thing going on, minus the burger and the hat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look like I'm on like some kind of crazy drugs, right? I mean, look at this. I mean, this will haunt your nightmares if you're watching this. Yeah. So that was attempt number 3, and so at this point, again, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, right? I couldn't get him to go back and start from the beginning. So, but it's just going down this rabbit hole of ridiculousness. So I said, let's take one more crack at this, because I had one more in my package. I had one more revision. So I said, I have actual eyelids and so forth and normal looking eyes. I said, can we at least fix the eyes?
That's a hell of a chin line, though. I do got to admit, that is a hell of a chin line.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. And so this is what we came up with. This was the 4th and final revision.
So he gave you eyelids.
Yeah. So I look asleep in this picture. So we've gone from meth to Valium or Vicodin at this point. This is like, okay, so this is the high picture, and this was the crash. I guess this is the come down. I don't know. So I look like loss. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was my experience. So my wife finally said, because I'm showing her all these, and each time it just gets more and more crazy. And she finally said, there's this lady that I know who is a real artist, and she's in video games. She's a video game artist, but she's not cheap. And my wife said, just break down, open your stupid fucking wallet, you dumbass cheap bastard.
DIY versus professional. Here we go.
Exactly. This is exactly what we were talking about. And said, pay a professional some real cash and get a real drawing logo, which I did. And I kind of put up a preliminary version of it. It's not the totally finished version, but it's on my channel if you guys are interested in looking at it. But I'll show you real quick of the if I can find it. So this is what a real artist came up with.
That's better.
That's way better.
Yeah.
That's me at 30. Yeah, and so that is about 99% there. She's on vacation, so when she comes back, she'll finish that up. And then watch for the merch. The merch is coming. And then Corey Shockey will stop bugging me for stickers. I told him, I said, I don't have stickers. I just got my hand. I ain't going to make a sticker of my hand.
Corey Shockey got a sticker for me way back. I still have his trucking sticker. I got to find a nice place for it, though.
Yeah. I want one of his, so I got to give him one of mine. So that is the Fiverr experience, folks. And I know some people have had luck with it, and some people are just not that fussy, right? Like a plane or saw blade is good enough, But,
I think you mentioned at the beginning of this segment about like the commonalities between logos on social media platforms of woodworkers, and one thing that I expressly did not want to have was a logo that was just black and white. Everybody's logos are just black and white. Hella boring. So boring. I'm like,
well, of course.
The logo.
Yeah, if you go to Fiverr, I mean, they're gonna give you one color.
Yeah, the logo that I have here was designed by a company called Deluxe Marketing. I had used them twice. I did the same thing that you did, only in reverse, in that I had a friend who was a art school grad and did caricatures and stuff like that, and I that's where I got the ball rolling, and then I went to the professional company, got a logo, and then before I relocated up here, I wanted to just completely redesign, rebrand the whole thing. And, I came up with this. I said, I've got the font, I've got an idea for the oak leaves, and the oak leaves represent me, my wife, and my daughter. I've got this whole thing, color scheme and everything. It's like I had that in my head, and all I needed was somebody who was more talented than I was with the graphic design thing. And I swear to God, first attempt from Deluxe. First attempt. They gave me the 4 things back. I said, I like number 1. We're done. You nailed it. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Absolutely. This was 95% there when the first draft. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, because she got what I was trying to say. I mean, I had a Google Meet meeting with her, and she was like, yeah, I know exactly what you want.
Yeah, see that, and that was the thing too with Deluxe, is that there was an initial phone call, and then I think we did a Zoom call, and I emailed stuff back and forth before the guy even got started, and like we had a list of things that I was looking for before I even got that first draft. And they even asked. I mean, I paid, I think, $250. Like, are you sure you don't want any other revisions? I'm like, no. When you get it right, you get it right. Done.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So we got to leave time for the woodworking.
Let's back off of that and remember these, our little snail mail questions. So let's get back.
So these are So these are questions that Jered and I sent each other through the regular mail, and what we do is we pull out a couple and we answer them on the show. So we did that last time, and so we're going to do it this time. You go ahead first.
You want me to go first? All right.
This is a question you can read and then answer.
All right.
And then maybe I'll answer it if it's interesting.
Yeah. What do you listen to in the shop while you're working? So I actually asked this question on my community tab, and I was curious because I listen to a very particular genre and niche of music. I listen to the most obnoxious heavy metal, metalcore, new metal. If it is not like, if you don't judge the screaming until you know the meaning. That's what I listen to. I need power. I need angst. I need just like visceral, loud music going on. So when you see me with my earbuds in, just know I can't hear a goddamn thing. And it is nothing but power chords and double kick drum. That's what's going on when I'm got my earbuds in all the time. Oh yeah. And the newer, the better. Like I appreciate the old, heavy metal bands from the late 70s, early 80s, all that kind of stuff. Love it. But I've been there. I've listened to that stuff. I'm now moving on. I am listening to all sorts of brand new heavy metal, brand new hard rock, all that kind of stuff. And just crank it up to 11. There's my Spinal Tap reference.
All right, there you go. Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Right, so I have a pretty eclectic playlist, right? And I'll usually throw on my main playlist. But if I have a few go-to artists that I listen to in the shop, You know, I kind of stopped listening to music back around 1993.
When Shania Twain first came out.
Yeah, Nirvana. That was probably the last new band I listened to. So I'm listening to like old Steely Dan, Boz Scaggs. I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
I listen to a lot of yacht rock, and I listen to a lot of like old metal, right? So early metal. But I don't listen to that. Like my son is really into that. I can't do that.
Yeah, I was surprised that, when I asked that question on my community tab, there were a lot of people that came back with like jazz, and I could totally appreciate that. But my brother was a jazz musician for God knows how long, and there is only so much syncopation I can take in my life before I go, what was this song about? How the fuck did it start? Like, you've lost me. So yeah, I need like short 3.5.
What is it, Dave Brubeck?
Yeah, right.
Is this 5/8, 7/8 time? What the hell is this bullshit?
You've completely lost me with your key signatures and time changes. I'm lost. Keep it simple, man. 4/4 time or 6/8 time, and I can follow along.
If you're doing a whole step modulation, it's going to freak me out. Please. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So let me do one here. So, tool you regret buying.
Yeah, I already touched on that, so you already know the answer to mine. Go ahead. This one's all you, Lee.
Okay. Tool you regret buying. Pretty easy. I have two. I'll give the runner-up first. The bandsaw that I had before the Rikon I have now was a Grizzly 14-inch, and that was just a piece of shit. Grizzly, I think, is really overrated as a tool brand. I don't understand it. It's yeah. Are they? I've never really owned a good one. I've owned a few Grizzly tools. I've kind of regretted most of them, but that bandsaw was I could not balance it. I could not make it not drift. I couldn't keep a blade on it. But yeah, what tools does Grizzly have that are good?
Well, I qualify that by saying the older, the better. So
okay, right.
Yeah, most of the new stuff, like you get that giant Grizzly catalog and you want to go sit on the can and do your business and sit there and thumb through the pages and stuff. You're like, oh, that'd be cool. And then you realize, yeah, it's all junk.
Yeah. Okay. So the worst tool that I think I ever had in this shop, I did not have a YouTube channel at the time that I got rid of this. So I sold it on Marketplace. But this is the honest truth. If I had had a YouTube channel at the time, I would have tied it to the back of my truck. I would have driven it down the street, and I would have filmed it. That's how fucking mad this thing made me. That Bosch router table with the green legs and the aluminum top. Oh, what a fucking pile of hot garbage that thing is. And Bosch makes a really nice router, and they make
a great router.
Tools, that thing is right. So you think, this is an awesome router. The router table must be good. It is just the worst. First of all, it's time saved. It's brushed aluminum, right? Mm-hmm. The worst top for a router table is aluminum,
and it's probably paper thin, so it flexes if you put any kind of load on it.
Absolutely, it's net. You can't flatten it. Insert. You can't level it. It's either too high and it has a lip, or it's too low and it has a lip the other direction. The fence is impossible to adjust. These little tiny, like, black plastic circles that they use for spacers are just the dumbest idea ever. Yeah, that tool was just garbage, hot garbage. And it probably was the one thing that drove me to Jessam, because I hated that tool so bad. I said, I'm going to get the nicest router table I've ever seen. And that's what I'm going to do.
I think that's a key point to bring up is that you have to buy shit in order to realize what is good. you have to buy bad.
Exactly. I said, I have suffered with this horrible router table for so long. I am going to get rid of it, and then I'm going to really splurge on a nice table. And I did, and I'm glad I did. I mean, I use that table a lot. And it's probably the second most, except for my table saw, it's probably the second most used tool in here. So
I have yet to actually build or buy a router table. I am that jackass that will like bust out a Forstner bit and just drill a hole in the table and screw the router to the bottom. That's me.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Next.
Question
One more.
number
Let's do
2,
one more.
or on Lee's list, it's actually question number 10. I'm skipping a whole bunch. If you had to
That's fine.
restart your shop from scratch, what would you do differently? I would, without no hesitation, I would not have a dust collector. I would not have a jointer. I would not have a table saw. I would not have a bandsaw, and I would not have a drum sander. I would get rid of all of that shit, and I would buy a bandsaw mill, a portable bandsaw mill. So to harken back to our discussion about alternative streams of revenue for woodworkers, those guys that go around and are portable sawyers, they hustle and they grind and they earn tons of cash. So I was a member of a group back in Facebook called the NorCal Sawyers Network, and it was just guys and gals who went around all over the state of California, and somebody had a tree dropped, or the city needed a handful of trees removed, or whatever it was. And these guys and gals were milling up all sorts of stuff, everything from redwood to Modesto ash to Claro walnut and everything in between. And I got buddy with a few of them and learned that those guys, the wood doesn't mean anything to them. They want to get paid to mill it and then just off it to guys like myself. So, know, when I don't know, 2017, 2018, when you couldn't do a project on YouTube unless it was walnut, I was getting walnut for like $4 or $5 a board foot. I was getting Claro for like 7 or 8. And I would just say, look, I need 200 board feet of walnut. What's the price? And I'll bring my truck. If I was to start over again, a portable bandsaw mill and some sort of kiln to dry it. That's all I would do.
Wow.
I would not make anything for anybody other than custom millwork like beams. That's what I would do.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd go retail. I don't know if my knees could take it now, but I mean, if money wasn't a thing, I'd just get those fuckers replaced too, and then I'd be the $6 million man out there hustling and grinding with his wood miser.
There you go. and have a pair of DeWalt knee patches sewn right on there while you're getting it all done. Right? Just have it just permanent.
I'm too much of a cheap ass. They'd be husky. Yeah.
What is your least favorite process in working with wood? Oh, come on. Just sanding.
Doesn't
it have to be sanding?
No. I love sanding.
No?
Really? That's your question. I am gonna respond to my own damn question. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Sanding. Man, yeah. I love sanding. That's when I get to stop and think and things aren't as heavy. I hate milling wood. I hate running stuff across the jointer. And I hate using a jointer. I absolutely do.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like the planing. I like the resawing process. I like all that stuff. I just do not dig the sanding, right? It's just, first of all, it's dirty. It's kind of dangerous, right? I mean, it's not immediately dangerous, but I mean, it's long-term dangerous if you don't wear the proper gear. You have a dust extractor running, so it's kind of noisy. And it's boring. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I guess that's the nerdy part of the woodworking process, where I look at sanding going, I'm almost done. I'm almost there. Right. It's almost over. Like, I have done so much freaking work and labor to get this damn thing to wherever it is. And it's like, I'm about to get that beautiful money shot. I'll bust out my phone for Instagram. Here it comes.
All right. Doing it for the gram.
Doing it for the gram. But I enjoy sanding, but God, I hate running big ass boards. When Ron Swanson says that woodworking is my cardio, he ain't lying. That's freaking work. And that's a pain in the ass. I just do not like pushing big lumber through the jointer.
Interesting. Cool.
We agree to disagree on our worst.
We agree to disagree. The first time this ever happened.
No, and probably not the last.
Yeah, right. Now it is time for everyone's favorite part of the show.
Video spotlight.
So let's get into video spotlights.
Okay. So my video spotlight comes from a channel in Canada. Actually, about 3.5 hours.
So close. So close to America.
It's America's attic.
Quite make it.
We're so close. But apparently, yeah.
Hey, if it weren't for the Queen, they would be Americans. So fuck that.
It comes from a channel called Nicole Coenen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I think it's Coenen.
Is it Coenen? God,
I think.
I've been off social media the last week and a half, and it's been great. So I didn't get a chance to like follow up with this and see if she mentions her name or not. But nonetheless, I stumbled across her channel actually through her Instagram account. So she is huge on Instagram, and I was just thumbing through, and I was like, oh, whatever, that looks interesting. And then I click on the thing, and I go to her channel. And I was like, oh, cool, she's got a channel, whatever. It is woodworking related only in the fact that she chops an ungodly amount of wood. Okay,
hold on. You forgot the name of the video.
Oh, well, yeah, I did. The name of the video is Lumberjack Training. Be one with the wood. This was actually not the first video that I watched. It was many, many videos in, but I think if you actually click on this video, it's a good jumping off point into her channel. It shows her personality. She's got a great presence on camera. Yes, there's puppets, but nonetheless, it's very funny. It's hilarious. It shows you who she is, and then you can go down the rabbit hole. And most of her videos are only like 6 minutes long. They're not terribly long, and she just has a great presence on camera. And I swear to God, she has got the most chiseled arms of anybody on YouTube. I don't care. She has got some friggin' cannons on her.
She's rugged.
Yeah. So there's
got the guns, right?
There's my spotlight.
Yeah. So you sent me this link, and I watched it, and I got to be honest. So I'm watching the first minute or two, and I'm like, "Fuck is this?
What the fuck is this?"
I'm like, this lady. And then she's got a puppet of a beaver, and it's going like, be one with the wood.
And yet you couldn't stop watching.
And I'm thinking, okay, this is ridiculous. And then a minute later, I'm like, be one with the wood. I'm like, mesmerized. For 2 days, I'm like, be one with the wood.
Yes.
Okay, she's great.
Yeah.
Okay, she is great. She's got the perfect presence, the perfect personality. She's the perfect age. She needs her own TV show.
Yes, definitely. I'd be a viewer.
She could have her own like educational kids show. She would be great.
I forget exactly where, but she's about 3 to 4 hours north of me, and around some lake in eastern British Columbia. And just the backdrop of where she's at, it is absolutely picturesque. It is so gorgeous, and whoever is doing her videography and her photography, that person is absolutely top notch. It is fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, so my spotlight is from Mark Francis, Start Making Woodworking. 5 of the best woodworking channels you're not watching. So there's some significance here. Mm-hmm. If you're new to the podcast, and we've gotten a few new subscribers over the last month or so, go back and listen to, I think it's episode 4, where we talk about this. Jered and I, back at the end of July, released a pair of companion videos, a collab, where we talked about small woodworking channels that don't get much attention from the algorithm, but that are very worthy, have really good content, in that we wanted to kind of bring attention to them through us. Mm-hmm. So one of those channels was Start Making, Mark Francis's channel, and he's in England. When we originally planned this, it was right around April, My criteria was under 5K subs, under 5,000 subs. And he only had like maybe 3,500, 4,000 at that time. That was in April. By the time the video came out at the end of July, he was at like 12K.
Yeah, 10, 12, something like
and
that.
Now he's at 27K. So he's not what I would consider a super small channel anymore.
No.
Like he was when I first put him in my small channels video. But what happened was, I think he was so kind of humbled and impressed and touched that we would talk about him on our airtime, that he reached out to us and said, "This is so great. I so much appreciate this. I want to do the same thing." And we said,
"Do it.
Yeah, go for it, man. Do it. Pick 5 small channels that you watch and do a video just like we did." So he did that. And he's a great guy. If you remember, he was the guy that I featured in my video that had the really, really tiny, small workshop. And he's built a new one that's slightly bigger, still what you would consider a pretty small workshop, at least in American terms.
Right.
In Texas, we call that a walk-in closet.
Right. Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah. Mark's shop is probably the size of this room that I'm sitting in, my wife's craft room.
I think his old one was maybe no bigger than 8 by 10, maybe 80 square feet, 100.
Yeah.
If that. So he's done it, and he's picked out some I love the way he presented it. He really, really gives a lot of love to some of these small channels that he watches and that are very deserving. A lot of ones from Europe that we didn't necessarily spotlight in ours. And he mentions a lot of the big channels that he watches too. He kind of gives them a little bit of a mention or a cameo, and which was pretty smart, right? We should have thought of that.
Yeah.
He did a great job. So that is start making 5 of the best woodworking channels you're not watching. Yeah, go ahead, check out Mark's whole channel. Check out this video, check out some of the channels that he recommends, and go back and check out some of the channels that Jered and I recommend in our video, our pair of collaboration videos back from July. Well worth it. So
yeah, Mark's video was
absolutely, man.
I came across Mark's video at 12:30 in the morning, my time. Woke up, can't sleep, pull up YouTube, bam, Mark's video's there. I'm watching that. I remember him saying that he was going to do it, and he just had other things that had to take care of, and bam, there it is. And I start watching, and I'm like, this is presented so well. And he mentions us in the video, and as I'm watching his video, I'm like, dear God, nobody click on my channel. You will be utterly disappointed in this whole thing.
Come on.
So I mean, I kudos to throwing out, Lee and I again to say, hey, we got the ball rolling. This is a thing that I think a lot of other channels just need to take part in. I've noticed that some of the larger YouTube channels are doing this, but they're doing it on their podcast, so they're not dedicating airtime on their personal channels to it, but they are mentioning the things that they're watching, and they are naming names. So I think this is becoming more and more of a positive trend that
it's a movement. It's a movement. Yeah. And I don't mind. Yeah. And I don't mind us taking credit for starting it. Fantastic. Hey man. So I will see you again just before Christmas when we record the New Year's episode.
Yep. We'll have to.
We'll talk about our resolutions. Have some good ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll think of something. All
Absolutely.
Right.
And yeah, send us some of your resolutions too, if you want, because I would love to hear some of your New Year's woodworking resolutions. That would be fun.
That's a good topic. We should make that the topic for the next one. New Year's woodworking resolutions.
That is on my list.
All right.
That is on the list.
Fantastic.
Okay, fantastic. All right.
Okay.
Adios, amigos.
Dunzo.
Take care. Yeah.